Yo guys, what is going on? It is Invin here, and today what I'm bringing to you guys is a video, of course, on the brand new PTR for the summer update announcement that we received just yesterday. Now this one is specifically, of course, focusing on the summer Medleyfaire event game update, but also it includes things like Barnacles and Blackpowder, which is the brand new endgame expedition, as well as a whole host of other things, some of which we saw in the dev update video and some brand new things as well. So what I'm going to do is generally go through this update, and I am going to summarize most of this in this video just to make it as quick as possible, but I may well come back to some of these points in subsequent videos going in depth on some of the more important stuff, because there is some pretty big changes coming with this update. So first of all, this is out now. If you guys do want to play it, you can go ahead and download the PTR on Steam and you'll have access to this. You can go log in and play it on this server for all of the, the time that you want to. Obviously, as most of you will see, it is a pretty early PTR than what we're used to, and this could be maybe hopefully an indication that we could be getting the update a little bit sooner than right at the end of July. So fingers crossed for that, but obviously they're going to get as much testing in as they can before they release this live. There isn't yet an end date for this PTR, so we can't guesstimate at when this is going to be coming out, but we are in the PTR stages for now, so at least we can try out some of this content. Now, of course, the first major thing is the Summer Medleyfaire event. This is kind of the biggest one, and what they've done here is it is a Medleyfaire, which basically means that there's going to be summer villages in the same places that there were winter villages, so that's going to be Brightwood, Everfall, Weaver's Fen, and Monarch's Bluff. There's a brand new NPC called the Maestro, and with him you've got to raise your reputation through quests, catching fish like the famed Eternum Sturgeon with Moudling bugs, and more to net a special holiday rewards. So those, again, we'll jump into the PTR later on today, and there'll be some subsequent videos on kind of what these are and what's going on with it, but that sounds very, very fun. You can even frame your favourite catches for your home with a new mount to catch stations at every village. So essentially, it's going to be like a little fishing event. You can put them into frames and then put them up in your player housing, which is pretty cool. Now, also another big thing that they have added with this summer Medleyfaire is instruments. They've actually added musical instruments to the game. So this is pretty cool. Initially, it kind of seems like, what's the point? But trust me, there is some really good benefits to these as well. So essentially, there's 5 instruments for players to pick up and learn, which are the guitar, the mandolin, the upright bass, the drums, and the Azoth flute, or the Azoth flute, depending how you want to say that, plus an initial 31 songs to collect and master. You can play solo or in a group with up to 5 adventurers. Songs are unlocked by salvaging pages which are hidden throughout Eternum, so complete the summer Medleyfaire quests to earn a special set of pages and starter instruments. Better instruments can be crafted through the Furnishing Tradeskill, and Furnishing can now also roll the new Music Tradeskill specific perks. So this is pretty interesting. The hotkey to start these performances will be the F5 key, and what essentially will happen is each one will reward players with Tradeskill XP and various buffs. Better performances receive stronger buffs and more Tradeskill XP. Spectators enjoying the show will also receive a buff and can toss a coin to the performers as a tip, or toss a coin to your Witcher, of course. Pretty cool indeed. More buffs unlock as your Tradeskill XP increases, so the buffs in order of progression are the Decidedly Dexterous, which is gathering speed increases by 75% for 30 to 90 minutes. This is a pretty good starting one. This is where the buffs come in, where I say they're actually worth quite a lot. This is really, really good, and I assume the better and kind of the less for longer, the higher up you get your instruments and when you master these songs more. So again, pretty good indeed. Next one is the Territorial Triumph. This one is territory standing bonus increase by 10 to 30% for 30 to 90 minutes. Again, needing those better instruments and masteries of the songs to get yourself up to the 30 for 90. Then we've got All Together now, which is group character XP sharing bonus increased by 4 to 15% for 30 to 90 minutes. Song in Your Step, which reduces player encumbrance by 200 to 1000 for 30 to 90 minutes. Fortune's Favour, which gathering yield is increased by 3 to 10% for 30 to 90 minutes. And finally, Luck's Labour, which is gathering luck increased by 2 to 15% for 30 to 90 minutes. So, in all honesty, I really wish these were in when I started the game leveling up, because these are some really cool bonuses. But things like gathering speed increase is going to be useful to everybody. Territory standing bonus isn't bad. Hopefully, we'll get a reset for one of these one day, but for now, it's still not a bad thing to get. Obviously, things like increasing your encumbrance, so you can carry more. most of us would be happy to have a little bit extra for sure. Gathering yield, gathering luck, really good. Group character XP sharing, not too sure that that's going to be all that great unless it affects weapon XP as well, except for players that are leveling, but we'll see how that goes. But all in all, a very, very cool addition to the game. Now, the next big piece of content that we're seeing with this update, the summer update here and this PTR, is the Barnacles and Blackpowder expedition. Essentially, this is going to be an endgame pirate-themed or lost-themed expedition, which will be in Cutlass Keys. You will get quest givers there for obviously the repeatable quests, like with some of the other endgame expeditions, and you will receive loot and renown for defeating the despicable evil within the new expedition. Now, obviously, this is coming out. It's going to be an endgame expedition. We don't know what level this is going to be, so I'll jump into the PTR and test this out. My suspicion is that it's going to be similar to Heart of the Madness, where it's going to be endgame, but further up the endgame as a normal variant. And then, as you guys can see, it's also going to have its mutated variant, and it's going to release with 3 brand new mutations to join that rotation of ones that we can have, which is very, very cool indeed. Now, one thing to note is that the Barnacles and Blackpowder will be mutated 2 weeks after it releases into the live game, so you get a couple of weeks to try it out normal, and then it gets added to the rotation of mutations. Now, the 3 new mutation variants that we're going to be seeing with this are firstly Icebound, which is a mutation that focuses on the element of ice and the effects related to the incoming and outgoing damage of ice. It can also apply a slow status effects to the players, so a pretty cool one that we kind of suspected after seeing the fire, so I'm very interested to see how that one plays out, and I expect it'll be quite fun. We've then got Oppressive. This is a promotion set that includes mana drains and zones of silence, which prevent ability usage for a short period of time. So a little bit similar to the Void one, but also this mana drain is going to be really crucial against your healers, which you'll need in every team. So even if you want to swap out to all physical DPS for this, your healers are still going to have a tough time. So this could be a very, very interesting one indeed. And finally, Frenzied. This variant applies curses to the players that dodge. Curses stack and deal damage over time. Max stacks also apply to nearby allies. So basically, for those of you that have got dex builds that focus on dodging to get your increased bow damage, this could be a particularly tricky variant. So we are seeing some pretty interesting stuff coming into the woodworks, and these should all be a lot of fun, but I think some of them could end up being very tricky with certain combinations of the mutations and the expedition itself. Now, what you will see with expeditions as well going into this then, that we've also had some enhancements done to them. So new quality of life features have been introduced to alleviate some of the friction points from the expedition explorers. Firstly, this is a huge one. A lot of people are going to be happy about this. We've got the expedition group finder. It is initially starting out on just the same world, so it's going to be your basically everybody that's on your world or on your server. What you'll be able to do is access this through the entrance or the related map icon on the actual overall map. You can browse listings created by other players or post your own request. The tool allows players to declare their preferred team roles such as DPS, tank or healer and recruit based on those roles. You can also set a minimum gear score and level, then inspect members to learn their average gear score, weapons and mastery levels when they request to join. So this is very, very cool indeed. You can see kind of who's setting up groups, who's joining groups, and it's going to be a lot easier to get correct groups, especially for the mutations, which I think is an amazing thing. As well as this, it opens up a whole host of opportunity for those still leveling and those still grinding gypsum and expertise levels to be actually able to gather some groups of players of a similar level or kind of experience set to them at the current point, which is a really, really nice feature. Hopefully in the future we see this cross server, but for the same world one to be coming out now is a really, really good thing, and it can only get better from here. So let's hope that this is a good addition. I think it's going to be game changing if it works, so I'm really excited about that one. Now, the next thing here is going to be the removal of expedition tuning orbs. This is something I have talked about in a fair bit of depth in previous videos here on the channel because, of course, we saw this in the developer update video. They kind of mentioned it. So I'm not going to go into the specific details, but all you need to know is that you will get 15 normal expedition runs per player per day, or which is equal to basically 105 runs per week per player. And you will get 25 mutated expedition runs per week. So that's overall, you'll get 25 runs that you can do. Now, obviously, if you have the keys already there, once this update comes into fruition, normal caches, you will get a reward roll from the sub-bosses and the main boss found in that specific expedition, and grant coin equal to 50% of the cost previously associated with buying the specific type of orb from the faction shop. For mutated expeditions, caches will reward 4 boss rolls off the final boss of 4 eligible mutators. and coin equivalent to 50% of the cost previously associated with buying that specific type of orb from the faction shop. Now, for a little bit more depth on this one, for some of you guys who, like myself, are probably wondering about the umbral shards from any mutated keys that you have. Essentially, what will happen here then is mutated expedition armaments provide loot rolls for each of the final bosses for each expedition that can be mutated at mutation level 7, and therefore mutated expedition armaments provide 1250 umbral shards. So therefore you can get a fairly decent amount if you do start to stack up on these before the summer update goes live, which is kind of what I suggested to you guys at the start of this month. Hopefully you've been doing it, because you'll be able to get yourself a ton of umbral shards just in passively if you've been collecting some of the keys. Though this obviously isn't as good if you can run the M10s and actually complete them, then you're certainly going to want to do that, or even M9s or M8s. However, it is a really good passive way if you're not playing as much at the moment. Maybe you're waiting for the update, or you haven't quite got the time right now. It's going to be a great way to get some passive umbral for probably the only opportunity you'll ever have for that in the game, so certainly do take advantage of this. Now, as you guys can see, there is a ton of notes here on the actual release notes, which I'm going to be going over in separate videos to break it down nicely for you guys, so this one isn't massively too long, but that is really important, so I did want to just bring that into this quick overview video as well. So they've also done a little bit of loot rebalancing with the changes to the way that the expeditions work, and with them being much easier to access now, they've moved roughly around 80% of the coin that was generated from expedition bosses, and have instead spread it out to drop coins from elite chests and corruption breach closures. So twice a day, players can loot elite chests in the open world, or complete a minor and major darkness breaches to earn a bag of coins. Each bag contains 500 coins. Twice a day you can do that, so that's 1,000 coins roughly from there. So you do need to remember, if you do want to get those maximum coins per day, that you're going to want to do those extra kind of activities to get those. So I think that's quite a cool change, giving more incentive to go and do that other stuff as well. So that's quite a nice little touch there, but do remember to do it if you are someone that used to subscribe the expeditions for your coins. Now, really importantly, they've added a new material called Materia. This is what you will get dropped from the expeditions, and you can also break down any of the specific named items that you get from a related expedition into materia related to that specific expedition. So the example they've given here is like Amrine materia or the Depths materia. So for endgame, we're looking at things like Lazarus Instrumentality materia. Now, what you can do with this materia is craft it into some of the rare drops that you want. So if you're looking for like the Fury hammer, or you're looking for the Lazarus bow, you are actually able to craft these after you've got a certain amount of that materia. So it just reduces the randomness a little bit. However, they are quite expensive, and it is going to take you a while to save up. But if you are someone that's running these a lot, or quite a few a week, you will soon get up there, and you'll be able to grab those ones that you've been wanting to get for quite a while, which, if you're anything like myself, there's still a couple of drops you haven't got even after hundreds of dungeons. So this should be a really, really cool thing to get in. They've also shifted around some of the mutator loot so that you get stuff unlocked a little bit quicker in terms of some of the better drops. That way it feels more like a smooth progression upwards. As well as getting more umbral shards, you are also getting better gear as you go up. Quite like this change personally. I think it makes more sense when you're first starting the mutations, so that should be really, really good. Now, in terms of the PvP then, this is a huge thing, and this is going to be that they have instanced the wars. Finally, a lot of us have been asking for this since right near the start of the game, and said that it would be amazing to have. We didn't know if it was possible, and it looks like it was. So they've said, obviously, previously, while one or more wars were ongoing, server performance could become degrading. This could result in latency spikes for players in the war and surrounding areas of Aeternum. We have re-architected the underlying technology for wars, and are happy to report that wars should no longer pose a risk of such drastic negative performance impact to participants nor the world around them. So yeah, at the start of the game, it wasn't possible for them to do this because of the way that the code worked. Now they've redone it, and it is possible, so they should be a lot smoother for every single player and everybody else on the world while they're going on, which is a massive W and a great, great update. Really happy about that one being added. Now, as well as all of this stuff so far, we've still got more to go. Essentially, what they've done here is done some changes to loot, perks, and trade skills. They've rebalanced over 150 perks, which, again, I have already previously talked about on the channel, essentially making them a lot better for the most part. They've changed dual stat perks to give you more overall increase to stats than a single stat perk split across the two. So, for example, you can get a maximum of 31 strength, let's say, on one item if it is solely strength. but if you split it over 2, you will get 32 or above. I don't actually know what the max is going to be yet, but it's going to be more than that, but it is going to be split across 2 stats. So if you're just going for a dual stat like con strength build, you're still going to want the pure con or the pure strength items. If you're going for a more rogue build, maybe you're going for like a dex int build, something like that, you're going to have much more viability and options to do that right now because the stat changes are going to come into the dual stat items. So that's really, really cool. Overall, the quality of loot is getting improved for most things. It's quite a basic explanation, but it's all you need to know is that you're going to get better stuff, especially at the end game. And gypsum casts are now going to roll a lot more epic and rare loot rather than common and uncommon loot, which is a lot better for a lot of players. Now, they've also added something called a perfect salvage. Again, this is something I've talked about, but essentially, when you're salvaging, you can get a perfect salvage, and perfect salvages can reward players with the following things, which can be research materials such as weapon scraps. These can be used to gain crafting trade skill experience. They can contain special orbs that can be converted into gypsum casts, which bypass the normal daily limit, which is really cool if you are in that gypsum grinding phase. Materials to fabricate special items, and other valuable resources. So this is a brand new thing, and it adds a little bit of depth to the salvage system because right now it is a chore. When this comes in, it should actually be quite an incentive to do it more often, and kind of you get something back from it, which I really actually like. Then we've seen, again, changes to the trade skills. A lot of this, again, I've talked about here on the channel previously as it was in the dev update video, but to summarize, less login XP required, less fishing XP required to get to level 200. Refining, they've kind of reduced the XP required for all of these to get to level 200 so that it fits better with the leveling system. Whether you think that's good or bad, I don't know, but that is how they've done it. And then also with crafting, what they've done is improve the trade skill XP that you'll receive for all tier 4 and tier 5 crafted items in all skills. They've also reduced the furnishing XP required to get to level 200 by 20% and reduced the overall trade skill XP required for weaponsmithing and furnishing to get to level 200. Now, they've also really importantly rebalanced the drop chance and locations of all trade skill clothing to better improve their availability. Now, of course, there is a little bit more to this update, and when I say a little bit more, they've actually released 4 full pages of absolutely heaps and heaps of notes here on the forum, which is what I've tried to summarize as well as quoting a few things from their article here in this video to give you guys the best overview as possible. But of course, there's going to be some stuff that comes out additionally, as well as there's some really, really important stuff in here, especially in terms of weapon changes, PvP track XP updates, PvP reward track updates, changes to the way that the arenas are going to play out, all of that good stuff, which what I'm going to do is make subsequent videos in the coming days, breaking things down into as quick fire videos as is physically possible, so that I can keep you guys up to date with the latest information, and those videos will be on specific things like the arenas, so that if you are interested in certain things, you can easily access those videos and watch them as and when you would like to. So not to clutter this one up too much, as giving you an overview I think is more important so you can see all of the changes we're expecting to see. But this July or summer type update is looking very, very good indeed, and I think a lot of players are going to be really happy with a lot of the changes we're seeing here. So that is going to be pretty much it for today's video, guys. Make sure you drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already done so, as both of those things really, really help out my channel, so I'd really appreciate it. Let me know down below in the comments what your favourite thing about this update so far is going to be. Are you excited for the new expedition? Are you excited for the group finder, or maybe the musical instruments? Let me know down below. And other than that, guys, I'd like to thank you for your time, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you again very, very shortly on a brand new upload. So thanks for your time, take care, and peace.